Welcome to Tracing Your Family Roots. My name is Arlene Sachs. This is Sally Ann Sachs. And today we're delighted to welcome Nadia Lipes. Welcome, Nadia. Nadia is a professional genealogist from Ukraine. You're not only a professional genealogist, I can't even say it, but you're also a guide. And you've come here today from Kiev to talk to us about research over there, because we don't really know much about that at all, or at least I know nothing about it. Where do you work, or what do you do, besides being a professional genealogist?
I'm living in Kiev, and actually I started to be a Jewish travel guide before. I got my license, I even started courses, and when I started courses for Jewish guides, I realized that first of all, I like to teach. And second thing, that it's not enough information that people are able to give. That many times before you are making some heritage trip, you need to make some archive search. And if I need to make some archive search, this means that I'm going to search not only something that could be helpful for a current trip. I can search something before as well. The same thing I did for my own family.
Yes, tell us about that.
It was amazing. Actually, it was two parts. First of all, I did the general family tree as all people doing, and starting to connect with my distant relatives that have been here many years. And now I'm talking only about those that I knew about them before, that I knew them in Soviet Union, that immigrated here in the
Here you mean to the
United States. Yeah, like most of my family actually immigrated to United States, and it was useful from the position that our relationships were broken for like 25-30 years. And now we are good friends because of Facebook most of the times, but still we are connected. Mm-hmm. We can see family pictures. We have common family albums for old pictures. It's very helpful. Even
it's nice.
Yeah, if you will not talk about like root searching, but just relatives is always relatives. And on those times, anyway, I was more travel guide than professional researcher. And after a couple of years, I decided to make my own heritage trip, just to feel what people are feeling.
Oh, it's that interesting.
I came to my own villages. In those trips, it was Pokatilovo and Troyanka.
And where are these?
It's two villages on the distance 10 kilometers from one to another one. I mean something around 6.5 miles. But one village in Kievskaya gubernia, and second village it's Podolia, and it's Baltsky Uyezd. I will tell later why it's so important.
Okay.
But anyway, now we are talking not about searches, now we are talking about trip. And I knew that Troyanka was totally Ukrainian village, and only my family lived there. Problem was that my family name from this side is Nemirovsky, and there is thousands Nemirovsky through all over the world. So it's quite hard to find the correct Nemirovsky families. But I knew that anyway in this village was only one family, Jewish family I mean. So I came to the village and starting to do the same things that I did for my clients actually. Oh. I started to ask who is the oldest person in the village. I talked with a couple of oldest people, but in the end of the story they tell that I need to go to somewhere else, and I found a woman that was 97 years old.
Wow.
And she has a young daughter, 80 something. And this daughter were translating because he didn't hear well, so I was saying to her and she was explaining to her mother what I'm talking about. And I asked, do you know Jews here in the village? And she's saying, no, we had some teacher, doctor, and I immediately understand that she's talking about after war period. And I'm saying, no. I'm asking about before revolution. Do you know Nemirovsky family? She's saying, no. I mean, but you had one Jewish family which had a hotel or something else like that. She's looking at me and saying, Sasha. It was Sasha. And I'm thinking, like, my grandmother's name is Rachel. And I'm saying, like, my grandmother is Rachel. But during a couple of seconds, I understand that my grandmother had 3 sisters and 1 brother. And the name of this brother was Sasha. I was shocked. I started to cry.
Yes.
Where is the house? What do you know about these people? And she's saying, relax. My daughter know who bought this house after. I know the story. Go and look there. So I took her daughter into the car, and we went to this house and did the pictures. This house still exists. Of course, I didn't come in just because it was too emotional. And I could do that because I'm sure that they sell this house. Because very often you can't go inside just because people are starting to nervous that you came
to take back your house that they stole.
Yeah, but in this case, I know that it was legal some process. So I could do that, but I didn't think about that even. I came back. And she is starting to run to the car and saying, I remember, he was Sasha Davidov. I was shocked again because his father's name was David. And I'm saying, yes, but Davidov, it's his father's name and his family name is Nemirovsky. And she's saying, we are not using family names in the village. I knew that he was Sasha Davidov.
That was the patronymic.
And I'm asking her, how do you remember him? He's not living in this village from 29, 80 years he remembered this person. And she's saying, but he was an amazing guy.
He was what?
He was an amazing guy.
Oh.
He had so wonderful smile. And he worked in candy shops. And I realized that maybe he was giving her some candy.
Right, she was a young girl then.
Yeah. But they didn't have a very big difference because he born in 1912 and this woman born in 1917. So it's
right, exactly.
5 years difference.
Yes.
And I was really
That's
surprised.
great.
To find somebody who is 97 years
That's
old,
tremendous.
who remembers somebody who is not living on the place extra 80 years. She remembered him from her age 12.
Okay.
Let's get back to...
So that moved you into genealogy.
Yeah.
And I first learned about you last summer at the genealogy conference in Salt Lake City when I learned about these databases that you created. So I want you to tell our viewers, how did you come to create these databases and what are they?
Okay, so now we are going back to my heritage tree.
Okay.
And point that it was 2 different gubernias, but only 10 kilometers.
That's a very important
one
point.
between another place.
Maybe we should say a gubernia thing. I always think of like a state.
It's like a province.
But I
or
don't
state.
know, a state or maybe a county?
No, it's a province. Uyez is a county. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
but even though they're close, the boundary between the two was in between those 6 kilometers, right?
yeah, very small distance.
Right.
But the census about Kiev gubernia 1897 exists, specifically about my second village. And about my first village, there is no information just because it was different place. And I found one place, my family who lived in this family, without any problems. And after that, I started to search any other families just because when I'm starting to search something, I'm never stopping. Because, always you can find somebody else. And I found children from my first village as a guests from some other person's house. But they were written there, and it was 2 Nemirovsky boys with their father patronymic names, of course, their registration place, And it was written there that normally they're living in Troyanka, and they just came with visit to the second village.
And they got taken in the census because they were there?
Yeah, so that means that I could use this information to searching for my own grandfather. I mean, our grandfathers were brothers.
Sure.
Okay, so, and even if I don't know, if I don't see his own records, I have registration place, which is important point.
We should say a word about the registration,
Yes,
because
I was
that's
just
not
going to-
something that happens in the United States. You correct me, but as I understood it, when when Poland was divided to three pieces, and Russia got this eastern part, in the last time they got it, I think, was 1795, or then they took a census of these people.
Yeah.
And that was maybe, they had been doing these censuses, but this was maybe the fourth. We call them revision lists. But people were registered in a particular place where they lived. And then they didn't always stay there over the next 100 years. They moved to other places. But if you did not do the legal work to change your registration,
Which, of course, Jews wouldn't do.
no, they mostly didn't do. You could move from one place to a very different place, but still your registration puts you here.
And
That's where you were supposed to be drafted from, I think, actually. Because it was a military and a tax draft. So when I found a relative in 1897 living in Dvinsk, his registration was some little place hundreds of miles away where he never lived. His grandfather had lived there, or his great-grandfather. But so those registrations are wonderful information to tell you where the family was living maybe 100 years ago.
But they must have continued registering there for your grandfather to be
even if
registered.
but it's not so important. I mean, you need to understand one pretty important thing. That a person who is living in one place and registered in another place, like not exists in the place where
And
he
the
is living in fact.
They have no record of him in the place where he actually is
And
living.
any documents that you are trying to get about his family, you need to search only on his registration place. That's it.
So okay, the family's registered here, they live here, so when they have a child here, they register him over there.
Yeah, because child is getting registration place of his father.
Yes.
Okay.
If woman is married, she immediately has registration of her husband. But if this woman is divorced with the husband, she is getting back registration in place of her father and his family name. If the husband is dead, she still have his last name and his registration. This was like
Okay, so
I can imagine how I can understand why that creates so much trouble for us in this country, because your grandmother said she was from XYZ and really she's registered under ABC and no wonder they can't find her.
But Nadia realized the value of what you had found, right? I mean, that with the information about your grandfather's brother, you suddenly knew a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't need after that so much information about my living relative there just because I knew it.
Right.
As most of my clients knew people who lived in this village. They don't interesting of their records so much. Normally, we need to find some record, fresh one, to get on this registration place and to have possibility to go back.
So then, now you're going to tell us about what you did. So how you created the databases and why. What have you done?
I had one place of my relatives who had been on this census, but most of the places were destroyed. There is no documents about them. And I thought that if I found these brothers or nephews of my grandfather, maybe I can find my other relatives in other places. And that means that I need to search all available documents of 1997. I'm lucky. 1897, yes. I'm lucky because I'm living in Kiev. And this archive is like my domestic one. This means that I'm not spending much time or money to get in. I just going and searching.
Is this the Kyiv Regional Archive. It's not
It's
the
Kyiv
national.
Oblast.
Oh, okay, but it's not the big national one.
No.
Okay.
And it's very close to my house as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How
Just,
nice.
10 minutes driving
Okay.
and I'm on the place.
So what did you do?
So I started to search place by place. And I was taking villages as well because many families, I mean, like main families living in the city, but some people are making business in the village. And this census was really funny. I mean, he was totally different from other censuses because they did it during one day, as they're doing it now, actually. And they were registered each person that they see on the street as well.
Oh, how funny! Not just in the houses.
No, you just walking somewhere, and they are catching you on the street and asking, "Who are you?" And you are saying, "But I'm from Poltava gubernia, Podolia, never mind from where." They say, "No. You need to be listed." And sometimes we have double people. I mean that they were in the guest somewhere, and his family told that this guys exist on his local place. But often we have only these guests, and they are registered in some families that is not related actually for them, or it's really they have been staying in this house, or it was hotel. Even we have censuses from train station as well. So they registered people in the
you
trains.
understand, this was the first all-empire census,
Okay.
this 1897. The other ones were what we have been calling revision lists. But this one was the all-empire census.
So the others were more local
The
lists?
others were mostly men. They had the women's names, but it was for tax and military purposes mostly.
Yeah, it's a previous census, but
Right.
like 20 years before, they had the normal revision lists, men and women on the same page.
Oh, okay.
And I have two strange family names. I mean, not strange, but I
Rare.
have nothing to do with
Rare.
them. No. Now I'm talking about Nemirovsky and Kleiman.
Okay.
I mean, each person in the center of Ukraine, if not Nemirovsky, he is Kleiman. But private names, given names, were different. I mean, unusual. Not my grandfather David, by Issachar Kleiman, it's not so popular, okay?
Right, Zachara, no.
And I started to search, and I understood that because I have too many Nemirovsky and too many Kleiman, I need to write down all these people just because I don't remember all of them.
Right.
And if I'm writing these people, and I already done researches, so I immediately realized, because I saw when I started to write the registration place, I understood that many people could be found just because their relatives moved to central Ukraine. This family could never left their city in Podolia or in Volhynia or whatever, but they had some brave cousin who came to Kiev, or who came to establish Jewish agricultural colonies in the south of Ukraine, or whatever else, or he was trying to find a new life, new job, and so on, because it was not possible to emigrate to United States before 1880. So they did inside immigration. I mean, they immigrated from Belarus to
Why couldn't they come to the United States before then? Did Russia not let them? Or?
Because it was not so popular. They didn't know.
Oh, it just was
and
not
transportation and all
Okay.
this other. Yeah.
To do something, you need to know that this something exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that a couple of my families emigrated even before these first pogroms, but I had no idea how they knew that these countries exist, actually. Once I would know, I believe. So, and I decided, and many people, together with, this is my own story. On the another side was many of my clients who were saying, I know only that my family was from Russia. And we already knew that Russia, it's mean big Russian Empire, and of course most of the times they were talking about Ukraine and Belarus. Nothing else, just because it was many years forbidden to live in Russia for Jews.
That's right.
Of course the government could send them to Siberia or to prison somewhere on
But
the
then
north.
they made them go home, because my great-grandfather was sent to Siberia, and then he was told to go home after they were finished with him, because Jews couldn't live there.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're talking the Pale of Settlement area.
Yeah, so we are talking about Pale of Settlement area, and 75 families had some relatives in different parts of this gubernia. That means that they can be found. And I understood that if I have this database, I can find any person who left their step somewhere,
Right.
somehow.
Because you put in the registration.
Yeah, because I was using registration place, his age, his private name is his surname. That's how I'm searching it, actually.
Ah, okay. You don't put in occupation?
I did.
Okay.
Like occupation, registration. I mean, if I'm writing census of Uman, for example, this means that these people are staying in Uman on this year.
Now your database, you have all of the names and then you've digitized all of the papers and you've got copies, digital copies of the papers?
No, it depends what census we are talking about, because census 1897 is huge. And archives are calculating page by page, because it's like each page it's separate family records. The same things they're doing with metric records and so on.
Are you're allowed to take pictures in the archives?
Some archives yes, and some archives no. The Ukrainian problem is that we have 24 archives, 22 because Donetsk and Lugansk cannot exist anymore, even 21 because it's not so easy now to get to Crimean archives.
Right.
But even those that we have on Ukrainian territory have different rules.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
The local archivists make their own rules?
and nobody understands why, how. I mean, there is no archive with the same rules. They're using the same rule, only one thing. They're not giving more than 5 books.
At a time.
And more than 1,000 pages per day.
Oh,
This
yes.
thing all archives are doing.
Right, it's
All the
maddening.
rest
It's crazy.
Yeah, really different. But in some archives, I can get more books and more pages. It depends.
And some you can take a picture and some you can't.
How I am talking to the people there inside. And some archives you can pay for the picture and do it. Some archives you can make pictures if the director is saying that you can do it, but you are not paying for these pictures. And some archives are charging per page, some archives are charging per case, and some archives today you can make a pictures, tomorrow you can't make a pictures, and day after you can do it again. You never know.
You said there were 21. The 2 that have been destroyed in the fighting for Russia.
Yeah.
But what about the one in Kamenets?
He was fired.
That burned.
I can't say that this archive does not exist because.
But it burned.
Yes, but we can use the materials from this archive in Khmelnytsky.
Oh?
I mean that not all of them.
This was a major catastrophe.
Last 11 years, they're trying to figure it out what they have and what was really destroyed. And people from archive did researches from these like hidden materials, but they're not giving them to the outside
And
people.
Nadia writes these articles for Avutino, and you always say, it's not organized because you have the fond, which is our record group, we call it, and then you have the opus, which is what we would call the index, and then you have the Delo, which is the individual file number. So to identify any record, you have to have those 3. But what she keeps telling me, and I heard this from others, you get these indexes, and the index might say that this is, I don't know, pick something, and you open it that it's the records of some police or something, and you open it up, it's notary records. It's not what the title says it is. So she goes inside of, you have to go into each one.
Yeah. So
even when you
what
think
is it inside, and I will tell you more. Even this census, sometimes they're putting, for example, many cases of Radomyshil, they put to Berdichev Uyezd, which is incorrect place.
the town she just said, say it again.
Radomyshil.
What's the one that we call Radomyshil because we don't know how to say it?
You know, they both sound the same to
We
me.
have a couple, because one Radomyshil we have in Poland and Radomyshil we have in Ukraine, but it was Poland like 200 years ago, so it's also easy to understand how it was. And I mean, territory of this place is more close to Volhynia but it's still Kiev gubernia, and never mind that village like 3 kilometers after, it's already Volyn. But I'm not talking about that.
I think it would be.
I'm trying to say that they put the census, even it's the same type of documents, on incorrect place. And when you go into the archivist and saying, listen, here you have a mistake, you need to correct it, they're saying we can't do that.
Why not?
Because they have indexes. We're saying that this case should be on this index, and that's it. People worked about that. People wrote doctorate.
Somebody's done it. It's got to be right.
This thing. We can't change it. Never.
I've got a story.
This is fascinating, but we're going to run out of time.
I think the long and short of it is, if you want to do research there, hire someone.
Absolutely.
I certainly would not recommend, even if you know the language, to try to do something like that on your own and plow yourself.
Very complicated, but you're making it much less complicated in terms for you by making these databases.
Yeah, because I'm making databases not only about people. I'm also making the databases about records.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I started to do it when I realized that censuses or revision lists and metric books, it's not enough, just because we have only like 25% exist, I mean altogether. And but people still try to know information about their ancestors. And I started to take documents from general fonts, and I just understood that most of police, notary, court records, they're about Jews.
And so that's what hasn't been done. And we're almost out of time, but we do have you coming back for a second show. Mm-hmm. So maybe we should tell our viewers to watch the second show so you can explain more about the notary records. It's what I call the second level.
Mm-hmm. You look at the first, the obvious ones.
If you don't have the birth, death, and marriage record and no census record, they do have these other collections that have a lot of information if somebody wants to go in and systematize them, which you're doing.
But you got to know what you're doing like she does, otherwise it doesn't
work.